please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Good morning, you're with us here on a fresh new edition of Trading Hour. The markets are up about 40 points, which means they are quite a bit off the day's highest levels. And I think it's all panning out to what many would have expected. I mean, to have expected the market to rally on like it did yesterday without a care in the world would have been a kind of a little tough to imagine, and it is not panning out that way, and maybe rightly so. There is a fair bit to grapple with. And one of the top things today, which is going to flashes, and we'll have that live for you as well. 35 points on the Nifty. Sudarshan Sukhani of S2 Analytics was with us. Sudarshan, thanks very much. Good morning. I mean, your sense, we've got only 35 points now from where we were at one point. You think this is good for more? At some point, we will continue to see that expansion which began yesterday, or this is it?
Yeah, good morning again. Well, it's good for more when we are looking at a longer time horizon of 2 to 4 weeks. This is just the beginning of what could be a very attractive rally. So traders should not position themselves for the day. They should position themselves for the next 3 weeks into April, and therefore be long in the Nifty, buy 10,100 calls and just forget about it. But for the day, for today, I think the markets are going to be choppy. After a big run-up yesterday, markets are very unlikely to have a second day of run-up. So we'll see choppiness. We can even see more declines. So for the day, there is nothing in the index. For the next few weeks, we should be long.
Okay, well, Sudarshan, morning. What are the stocks that you'd be recommending today?
Well, then we are on the long side of the market. NIT Tech is a buying opportunity. The stock had an outperformance. Then together with most other stocks, it went into some kind of a correction. That's probably over. That outperformance is likely to continue. NIT Tech is a buy. NBCC is a buy. That's a stock that keeps on making some higher levels. Then it retreats. But at this point, momentum favors it. So for the day, it's a buying opportunity. And the heavyweight L&T is a buying opportunity. Most index stocks could be choppy, but L&T could be an exception for the day. 3 ideas for buying.
Okay, those are stock-specific trades. We've got some questions coming your way, Sudarshan. So this is Abhinav, who wants to invest ₹1 lakh. He wants advice on which stocks he should buy. He's got a couple of ideas: Yes Bank, Tata Motors, Motherson Sumi, PFC. I mean, you could advise him on these or name other names.
Well, no, the ideas, 2 of them are appropriate. Yes Bank and Motherson Sumi are both good for buying. So maybe he could invest 50,000 in each one of them. Please avoid PFC and Tata Motors completely.
Okay, fair enough. Sudarshan, we're going to let you go on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and taking us through all of your strategies. Let's get in some more F&O calls. We have Gaurav Bissa joining in of LKP Securities to discuss that. Gaurav, hi, over to you. What would your index as well as stock calls be?
Good morning. As far as the indices are concerned, the trend continues to be positive. I would not be playing for a significant upside, so to speak, but yes, there is a bounce back of 60-70 points that we can see in next 2 days. One can have a stop loss of 10,110 on the upside. Targets of 10,230 can be seen in Nifty. If it continues to trade about 10,230, then 10,320 can also be quite achievable. For Bank Nifty, one can buy here, have a stop loss of 24,180 on the upside. 24,600 is what we can expect in next 2 trading sessions. So overall, it's buy on this market for time being, and on the upside we can expect a couple of percentage points higher. As far as recommendation are concerned, the first recommendation would be on UPL. We have seen 2% OI addition happening today. Good amount of longs are seen getting built. 11% OI addition happening in April series. It has been trading a range, coming out of the trading range of breakout on daily charts. Stop loss of 725, targets of 755 can be seen. One can buy April series futures. Second would be buy on Britannia futures for the April month. We have seen good amount of long positions getting built today. One can have a small stop loss of 4900 on the upside. 5050 is what one can expect. And the sole sell recommendation would be on Hexaware futures. We have seen a net OI addition of 2.5 lakh shares. Majorly of these are in the short side. So intraday short position is seen getting built. 370.68 was the immediate support. Given a small breakdown sort of from the intraday charts, one can have a stop loss of 369. On the downside, one can play for 355.
Okay, all right, fair enough, Gaurav. We'll let you go on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and taking us through all of those strategies. Well, for the markets, I think we're quite steady at this point in time. We're talking about what's happening in the commodity and the currency space. Manisha Gupta is here with us to tell us what she's looking at there. Manisha.
Thank you so much for that, Ekta. Well, you know, gems and jewelry sector is what we are talking about. Remember, it's a 6,50,000 crore of a sector, and it has seen its ups and downs in sense of duties, in sense of the bank frauds, in sense of financial support concerns as well that the sector is facing right now. In the meanwhile, you have the gold prices trading at a 5-week highs. We are holding around 1358 in the international markets right now. So the strength has been strong, and you also have the wedding season starting quite soon, and it is going to be about Akshaya Tritiya in the second week of April. So to understand on where the gems and jewelry sector stands right now, are the financial concerns still on, and how is the industry really preparing itself for the strong demand that is expected, we are now joined by Mr. Colin Shah from Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council. Mr. Shah, hi, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, of course, there have been concerns in the past couple of months. What is the situation right now? Are the bankers still asking questions? Are the KYCs still being strengthened? Or is the industry actually finally getting over with all of that?
See, I would be the first one to tell you that what has happened is extremely unfortunate. We as an industry want every banker and everybody who lends finance to this industry to have a great experience. You know, when any investor has a bad experience, they shy away from that particular sector. Having said that, our public sector banks have been extremely supportive of this industry. They've been a valuable partner in our whole 50-year-old journey, where we've been able to capture a large part of the manufacturing, a large part of the jewelry manufacturing, and we are hoping this support continues. Having said that, we are speaking to the Commerce Ministry, Finance Ministry, to key officials in the government. We are talking to our bankers. We've done a banking seminar. We've been meeting them one-to-one. We've also been meeting several people in our trade as to what is it that we can do jointly together to make sure that we mitigate the risks of the bankers, because if they continue to lose capital, they will not finance the trade. So as long as we as a trade, government, bankers come together, we can mitigate the risks of the bankers, I'm sure the industry will get the credit it desires, requires for the short and the long term.
While of course you still are talking to bankers, officials, regulators, as you mentioned, but you know, there have been reports of round tripping, especially when it comes to diamonds as a trade. Not so much for gold, but diamonds definitely has been under the radar. How have you seen the exports and the import numbers that the GJPC is working right now with, and is there a forward guidance really on that?
The polish imports, like if you look at overall the diamond exports are close a little over $21 billion April to date right now. We still don't have, you know, last week numbers, and we have one more week to go before the financial year ends. And the polish import numbers are at $1.4 billion. So there's been a lot of, you know, talk about round tripping and about the polish imports being unusually high, which is actually not the case. The import duty on polished diamonds went up from 2.5% to 5%. The polish imports are actually down 14%. So they used to be 1.5 something billion dollars, and now they're down to 1.4. So polish imports are down 14%, and the exports are 3% up on the diamond front. So we should end the year at a little smidgen, little growth over last year, in spite of you know, all the disruptions we've had during the course of the year. So we had GST, we had you know, this whole incident which has happened over the last 1 month, which obviously has made a difference to the business, but we're still ending the year at a 2-3% growth.
So Mr. Shah, when you are looking at 2 to 3% growth for the rest of this year, where is that growth going to come from? What is the time period? The wedding season would kickstart quite soon. Akshaya Tritiya is the second biggest day when auspicious buying actually happens into precious metals. How is the industry readying itself for these events?
See, after Dhanteras, Akshaya Tritiya is the second largest buying season in India traditionally. Weddings this year are at an all-time high. So most retailers, including the organized players, and if you take the large independent jewelers across the country, they're looking forward to an extremely positive Akshaya Tritiya.
The dates, and it's going to be a pretty hot summer. It is anyway going to be a pretty hot summer in Karnataka. I mean, doubly so. 12th of May is essentially the polling. Voting is going to take place on the 12th of May, and the counting is going to take place on the 15th of May. So essentially about roughly 45 days to counting as far as the counting of the elections which are going to be held in the state of Karnataka. I mean, the campaign is well and truly underway. From BJP, we've got Amit Shah and a whole host of leaders who've been sort of crisscrossing Karnataka. We have Rahul Gandhi from the Congress who's been there. This is only going to get bigger in terms of the campaign. So 12th of May is the polling, counting on the 15th of May.
The counting will actually take place on a market day. It's a Tuesday. And the voting itself, the 12th of May is a Saturday. So that should be okay. But the counting is going to be taking place on the 15th.
I mean, we are at the low point of the day. 10,150 is where we are at. And that's pretty much the low point. Ashwini Gujral is with us. Ashwini, thanks very much. Your sense of things?
See, overall, I think the market is consolidating after a big run yesterday. But the problem is that banks are now trading below the open. So it looks like in spite of the news on the yield, etc., they haven't been able to show a whole lot of follow through. So that's where, we would even try a short trade, given that we are sitting on 600 plus some gains today. So that's where we've just taken shorts. On the Nifty, you can still give it some opportunity, but 10,140, 150, if that starts to get taken out on the Nifty, then the market basically loses a lot of steam, and we could have an even bigger correction towards 10,100 thereabouts. So the market really is not building on its gains as the other Asian markets are. Having said that, individual stocks, GM Financial is a buy with a stop of 126, target of 138. Dewan Housing is a buy with a stop of 513, target of 530. And Capital First is a buy with a stop of 630, target of 665.
Okay, well, definitely some positive news which is coming in on order wins, because we have Kalpataru Power, which is in fact one order is worth around 900 odd crores, and just before that it was JMC Projects, there's Punj Lloyds, Dilip Bilcon, as well as something like a KNR Construction. Maybe it has something to probably do with year end, but nonetheless a lot of order wins being announced on the exchanges today. Ashwini, any of the names that you like from what I mentioned? Punj Lloyd, Dilip Bilcon, KNR Construction, Kalpataru Power, JMC Projects?
See, these stocks, while order wins etc., may create a momentary upside, but really this year is about consumption, and you'll do well if you stay with those stocks. I think infrastructure, rate sensitive etc., quote unquote growth stocks will have a bit of a problem. So I don't think I want to touch infrastructure right now.
Okay, a couple of Twitter queries for you then, Ashwini. First up is Siddharth, 500 shares of HCC at 45 and wants to know whether to hold or sell.
Well, it seems that it's in some sort of trouble, the kind of news flow that's coming. So it's fairly clear that you need to exit from this. And right now, increase the quality of your portfolio, because in stocks where there are problems, you will have more downside. So maybe move on to a Motherson Sumi.
Okay, Ashwini, we speak in an hour's time. Thanks very much. Appreciate you joining in with that. I mean, the Nifty is at the day's almost at the day's lowest level, 10,146